Good morning. I hope everyone is staying warm and also staying safe on this snowy Monday morning. I wanted to update you this morning on the conditions and on our preparations as we face the second straight week of harsh winter weather with ice, snow, and freezing temperatures. I'm joining you today with Transportation Cabinet Secretary Jim Gray and Emergency Management Director Michael Dossett to give you an update on all the information we have on the weather that we will and or we may see during the course of this week. We are expecting two storms to hit the Commonwealth this week. The first is here, and the roads are already dangerous in places. So if you have to be out this morning, I hope you are taking extra time. I hope that you have reduced your speed, and I hope that you are being very, very careful. We already have some accidents on our roadways. It is slick and it is dangerous. So again, make sure that you give yourself extra time, even if you're a little bit late. I'd rather you get there intact and healthy than the alternative. These storms will affect most of the Commonwealth with potentially dangerous conditions much of this week. The first began overnight, and these systems are expected to continue through Thursday night. I hope everyone has made preparations, whether that is to work virtually and or the need to potentially heat your home if you lose power. For at least the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, we're advising you to limit travel as much as possible. This will help you avoid dangerous conditions, but it also helps our road crews. The fewer cars that are out there, the faster we can work and the better condition we can get the roads in. If you have to drive, please be careful and take your time. The National Guard has been alerted, and our soldiers are standing by with equipment ready to assist if necessary. In fact, we just had to stand up our first unit in Ashland, which is going to be going door to door to check on those that are more remote and have lost power, and will be transporting people to warming stations if necessary. The heaviest snow will likely fall today during the afternoon rush hour, and some of the Commonwealth could see 6 to 8 inches of snow. Much of central Kentucky could see significant snow accumulations, with the heaviest snowfall beginning this afternoon. Snow could fall at more than 1 inch per hour. Along with snow, there's a potential for significant ice accumulations of up to 1/2 inch. We're also monitoring another system beginning on Wednesday night and continuing into Thursday night that could bring additional winter weather across Kentucky. Kentucky Transportation Cabinet crews are concentrating on clearing and maintaining our interstates, parkways, and highly traveled routes. I appreciate our transportation crews' tireless work over the last 2 weeks, preparing and clearing our roadways. Just last week, I thought they did an incredible job, had our roads in great shape before any of our initial predictions, and I know they're out there working just as hard. Remember, the fewer cars that are on the road right now, the better and easier it is for them to do their job, as well as for EMS or fire or police that have to respond to emergencies. And even after the last storm, they've been working nonstop, continuing to remove trees, clear roadways, and replenish salt inventories so that we were ready for this week. There's a potential for more downed trees, which will create more opportunities for both travel hazards and power losses this week. If you experience a downed power line or power outage, please call your local utility company. If you need to use alternative sources of heat, please be aware of the dangers that some of those sources can emit. The carbon monoxide poisoning that it seems that we lose some of our citizens to every major storm. Never use a gas stovetop or oven to heat your home. And generators, camp stoves, or charcoal grills, they need to be at least 20 feet away from your windows or from your house. Again, I can't stress the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning, which is absolutely avoidable. Those are casualties we don't want to see. We did not make it through almost a year of a pandemic to lose people to a snow or an ice storm. You have more ability to work remotely. We have more ways to connect to one another and get done the things we need to get done. And we're looking at coming out of this pandemic by the summer. Please don't let the next couple days or this week be what injures you or ultimately causes the loss of a loved one. The Kentucky Division of Emergency Management has activated the State Emergency Operations Center that happened last Wednesday, and it's been active ever since. They monitor the earlier storm systems, and they coordinate critical emergency support function partners in transportation, law enforcement, power, and utilities. The Emergency Operations Center is currently at level 4, but will transition to level 3, which is a higher level at noon today as we anticipate more severe weather. You can find snow and ice resources, including traffic information, maps, and other updates and news at snowky.ky.gov. Also, today, we are announcing that the Frankfort Kroger vaccination site will be closed tomorrow. There's simply going to be too much snow. We won't have our roads in the conditions we need to make that safe for those coming to vaccinate others. Everybody who has an appointment scheduled for tomorrow at the Frankfort Kroger vaccination site will be moved to next Tuesday, 1 week, same time, same place. We will get you through. I know we don't want to have to wait another week, but they're increasing capacity. We're going to make sure that you get vaccinated. The other Kroger sites aren't open tomorrow. That's the only one we're having to move for now. We're going to watch the weather system to make a call on Wednesday, hoping that we can keep all of our other facilities open, whether it's Frankfort on Wednesday or the Horse Park, Northern Kentucky, and Bowling Green on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We know how critical those vaccines are, and as long as there's a way to navigate the roadways fairly safely, we will do everything we can to keep those open. But remember, those that come in to provide those vaccinations we need for the next months, and their health and their safety is critical in deploying these vaccines quickly, safely, and efficiently. I now want to turn it over to Emergency Management Director Michael Dossett. He'll provide an update, and then we'll turn it over from there to Transportation Cabinet Secretary Jim Gray.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning. So we've experienced an extremely unusual dynamic for severe weather here in the state. That of 3 severe weather events in close proximity. If you've looked at the national picture, this is a massive storm system and extends from New Mexico all the way up through Canada. Event 1 occurred last week, beginning with a heavy snow in our northern Kentucky counties. On Tuesday is wave 1. That was followed by several days of sleet, snow, freezing rain, and ice accumulation in wave 2 on Wednesday and wave 3 on Thursday. Event 2 began last night on Sunday with the first wave and will continue today with the second wave beginning early afternoon, right before rush hour, over most of the central and southern counties, ending in the early morning hours of Tuesday. This storm will impact most of our counties and should be considered a very dangerous system. Again, you can expect sleet, freezing rain, ice, very heavy snowfall with accumulation rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. That's far in excess of what we can manage on interstate, so it's going to take everyone's cooperation. The snow accumulation ranges from 6 to 8 inches in many areas. Localized events may be higher due to banding. If the sleet zone extends farther east, Lexington area can experience 4 to 6 inches, which is an increased amount. If you'll bring up if you look at the backup one, please. If you can see on the slide, the banding starts all the way down in Paducah and goes up through our northern area, and that's the largest band, and as it moves southwest. This system came up through the Tennessee border, heading toward a northeast direction. So we've seen some impacts overnight, the beginning of South Central and Southeast, mainly in the Cumberland area, have accumulated at least 1/10 of an inch of ice. Across the larger area, we've seen 1 to 3 inches of snow mixed with sleet and freezing rain. At present, severe weather is entering Paducah from the southwest and will be moving northeast again. In anticipation of wave number 2 of this storm, as the governor indicated, the state EOC has been elevated from a steady state at level 4, which is a monitoring of the storms, to a level 3 at noon today. And we'll have representatives from many of our ESF cabinets there. Event number 3 of the three-peat that we're going to experience here in the Commonwealth. That'll begin Wednesday night through Thursday with more sleet, snow, freezing rain, and the possibility of going across the entire region. We've just received a brief update from the Weather Service. We can expect basically more of the same. The accumulations will be smaller, possibly 3 to 6 inches, but again, icing in our southeast regions. Again, as the governor has indicated, we've received our first mission for the National Guard. They've been alerted across the Commonwealth and are standing by with equipment and soldiers. For assistance on a number of missions on the interstate, should we have snowfall that impacts motorists and we experience stranded motorist conditions, assisting with cut and toss chainsaw crews for road clearing, Humvee vehicles and crews for emergency tasking, and assisting relief efforts in a number of our counties that still have power outages. This won't be a heavy concentration snowfall, and blowing and high drifts are also possible. Our search and rescue teams across the Commonwealth have been alerted, again, for the same type missions in our local jurisdictions, looking at interstates and parkways. So we have demonstrated the resilience of Kentuckians. We've navigated the most severe event last week, and with your continued awareness of surroundings and diligence in checking on our friends and neighbors, let's please double our efforts and special attention to our state and local emergency responders that will be assisting us the remainder of the day and into tomorrow with the dangerous storm conditions. Thank you. Back to you, Governor.
Thank you, Director Dossett. Thanks, Governor. Director Dossett, I like the way you just said that we've demonstrated the resilience of Kentuckians. What the governor said earlier about requesting everyone, asking everyone to recognize that these are dangerous conditions, highway conditions, and please, unless you need to be out and driving, don't do it. Now, I'm going to give a few details of where we are as it relates to transportation and the highways and some of the conditions that we're experiencing across the state. We had what amounted to an intermission, actually, between the winter storms this weekend. That enabled our highway crews to get a bit of rest and make some headway in clearing fallen limbs and trees, for example, and restocking our salt supplies. But it was actually, as the governor said, as Director Dossett has said, it was only a short break. What we're facing is 3 winter storms in 7 days, 3 winter storms in 7 days. Now, I've gotten hourly reports from all 12 of our highway districts since last evening. Crews were out in a number of districts, almost all across the state, by yesterday afternoon and worked through the night, pre-treating roadways where conditions were permitting it. We're now treating and plowing over most of the state. In eastern and southeastern Kentucky, our Jackson and Pikeville districts of the Highway Department, freezing rain is the prevailing condition. So we can't stress enough how important it is to stay off the road if you don't have to travel, and to be extremely careful if you do have to travel. Here's what we're dealing with. Yesterday evening began with some freezing fog in southern and southeastern Kentucky. Roadway conditions deteriorated quickly. Freezing rain. There were multiple crashes along the I-75 corridor in Rockcastle and Laurel counties. No known injuries. This was cleared within a few hours. Our salt trucks were in the traffic from these crashes, and some were able to travel along the shoulder to reach untreated areas of the interstate. But that just illustrates just how challenging the conditions have been. There was a crash that temporarily shut down I-64 westbound near Olive Hill in Carter County. And regrettably, there are reports of a fatality. Some downed trees have been reported in eastern Kentucky, but have been cleared. For the first time in memory, officials in District 12, that's Pikeville, our Chief District Engineer, Mary Westfall Holbrook, reports that they had to pull back their trucks from B and C routes. Those are the secondary routes. They had to pull them back last night because of ice-covered roads. Even with our highly skilled drivers, trucks were running into guardrails and sliding into ditches. Snowfall in western Kentucky was more of a light powdery snow. There have been reports of blowing snow that can quickly cover our roadways. This morning, during the brief break in the storm, our crews will continue to treat roadways that are yet to be treated from last night's snow, and will also be making necessary repairs to equipment. Not much has changed, as Director Dossett said, with the National Weather Service forecast. Ice accumulations of 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch are still expected in southern Kentucky. This will significantly impact the I-75 corridor in Madison, Rockcastle, Laurel, and Whitley counties. Snowfall rates are expected to exceed 1 inch an hour. The governor's already said that, later today and into the evening, with rates even expected near 2 inches per hour at times. And at that rate, a roadway, of course, will be covered with snow again almost nearly as quickly as it has been plowed. This will exceed our capacity to keep roadways completely clear. And that's important to remember, that at this rate, the roads can be covered almost as quickly as they are plowed. Our crews will concentrate on interstates and parkways, our A routes, other routes with higher traffic, roadways that provide services to emergency locations such as hospitals. These are our A routes. The first weather system moved through the state last week. Now a second system is working its way west to east. So this new system is going to be immediately followed by a third system. So it's going to be a very challenging week for everyone. Our crews worked Sunday to get a jump on this new weather by pre-treating many of the A routes. These are our high volume routes and include interstates and parkways. We have two primary concerns. Number one, a forecast of the heavier snow that will at times exceed our ability to keep the roads plowed, which I just mentioned. The National Weather Service is warning this morning that travel will become, quote, difficult to impossible. Let me say that again. National Weather Forecast is warning that travel will become difficult to impossible by this afternoon and into tonight. Number two, heavy ice and snow buildup, likely meaning more downed trees and power lines. Ice is actually a bigger challenge than plowing snow, of course. Two things to remember about ice and the power outages. Ice does not respect motor vehicles, regardless of the vehicle type, regardless, four-wheel drive included. You must slow down and exercise extreme caution when roadways are icy. Regret to say that a prime example out on I-75, which was blocked near the Laurel-Rockcastle County line for about an hour and a half last night due to vehicles losing control on ice and crashing. Then early this morning, Kentucky State Police closed I-75 again for about 30 minutes so the roadway could be treated. Also, power outages don't occur only to homes and other buildings. They also occur with traffic signals. So when you come upon a traffic signal that's not working, that's dark, it's like a four-way stop. Treat it like a four-way stop. Each driver takes his or her turn. Now, unfortunately, forecasters tell us that this new wave of winter weather is going to bring even more cases of downed trees and power lines because of the ice and snow buildup. So our highway crews, which have been working under these difficult conditions, will have more of the same. Our maintenance personnel in central office and in all 12 of our highway districts have been meeting virtually every day, yesterday twice, and regularly to share information and to coordinate. You should know, the public should know, we have good equipment. We have great people. We have some 2,000 frontline employees committed to this work today. More than 1,017 pieces of equipment, supplemented by 400 contract plow operators. But we still, despite this, we need everyone's help. Our top priority is to keep everyone safe, our fellow Kentuckians. We ask you to do your part. And the main thing you can do, the governor said it, Director Dossett has said it, the main thing you can do as a citizen is to stay off the roadways if you don't have to be on them. Give yourself extra time if you have to be traveling. Take it slow. Be patient. And to repeat what I said earlier, a heavy snow will cover up the roadway almost as soon as it is plowed. But we are aiming to make sure priority routes are passable. We are working on ensuring that our major routes are passable. Also, watch out for our snow fighting equipment, please, and other emergency vehicles. Friday afternoon, on behalf of the governor, I signed an official order temporarily suspending certain motor carrier restrictions for those involved in power restoration efforts and the delivery of critical goods and fuel within affected areas. Now, you can keep up to date with conditions through our website, snowky.ky.gov. And please remember, the Kentucky State Police reminds us, please, during these conditions, don't call 911 for weather conditions. Please go to the website, snowky.ky.gov. And on that site, you can find links to our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We use those platforms to pump out information. Thank you, and Governor, turn it back over to you. Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll open it up. We've got just a few questions. We'll start with Karen Czar from WUKY.
Thank you, Governor, and to the rest of the team. I have two, one for Secretary Gray and one for you. Secretary Gray mentioned that the salt supply was replenished. About how long do we anticipate that can hold out? And with so many states needing it, how quickly could we get more? And for you, is there concern of I guess the word would be a pileup of vaccination appointments potentially? Are we prepared for that? And if things do have to close this week, are we in danger of any doses expiring? Thank you so much.
We believe that we not only have the capacity, but this is going to be a good test, especially next week with what we're going to see about our ability to scale up, especially at these regional sites. They've been designed to do 2 to 3 times more vaccinations than we currently have supply for. And so we have been assured, for instance, by Kroger, that they're going to be able to do a normal Tuesday and then the additional amounts on top of that. So it actually, when we reach next week, for those that are pushed into next week or later this week, as long as we can move forward, then it ought to be a pretty exciting time in those facilities. We are not worried about any doses expiring. The bigger concern is if an area loses power that's storing doses, but they all have different agreements and different plans in place, whether they be generators or partners that they can take those doses to. That's the concern, but it's been addressed. I'll turn it over to Secretary Gray.
So Karen, in terms of our salt supply, simply put, we are in good shape. We started out the season with plenty of reserves. In the Louisville's, there's a stockpile in the caves actually of 100,000 tons. And I think we're at about 85 to 90,000 tons there. There are cases, of course, in counties occasionally where there will be a shortage. And that's when the state comes in with its supply to bolster those reserves. Thank you.
Tom Latek from Kentucky Today.
Good morning, Governor. I've got 3 I'm going to throw at you here. Back 1994, I think you were still in Henry Clay High School, if I'm not mistaken. Governor Jones closed the interstates with the 94 snowstorm. Are you contemplating something similar to that? And a decision on state government for tomorrow. You know the General Assembly is already canceled for tomorrow. And are you going to do another state of emergency declaration?
So our state of emergency is still in effect. At the moment, we believe that a second one isn't needed because it is still open to deal with these storm systems. Obviously, Director Dossett is who we will take guidance from on that, because the state of emergency doesn't just free up resources, but it's also critical to get reimbursement if we have high enough expenses for it to qualify with the federal government. And that's one of the reasons that a 30-day limit on emergencies can be a real challenge when you're looking at getting reimbursement from, we typically deal with flooding that can last for a significant period of time. In 1994, yes, I was at Henry Clay. I was waiting to take my driver's test, and it got delayed roughly 2 weeks because of that storm. I remember it well. We are not currently looking at closing all of the interstates with a blanket order. We will continue to monitor conditions and in sections or segments do what's necessary. But we're getting continuous updates from the National Weather Service, and I'm getting those updates from emergency management. State government will be addressing here in a little bit. We have new tools that COVID has forced us to have, the ability for people to work virtually. So much of state government worked virtually for a significant period of time. What we have to do is take kind of our traditional, our offices open or closed, and fit it now into our current era where we have the ability for people, most people, to work from home. So we'll be looking at the forecast and putting that out here soon for state workers. I will be doing the 4 o'clock today. I'm not too far from this building where I live, so I can get over here, and we have the ability to do it almost entirely remotely. Given that we have had 5 straight weeks of declining case numbers and declining positivity rates, we want to go over those trends tonight, as well as where we are in vaccinations. Now, this weather is going to slow down our vaccinations some, but we believe we are going to be able to pick back up fully that next week, wherever that is for people. But what you'll see is we still hope we'll be over 90% for the week, but wherever we are, that next week will be 120% or 135%. It's unfortunate, but it's unavoidable. But we got those vaccines ready to go, and we've got the capacity that we've talked about to do a lot more than we're getting right now. Amina Alahi from WFPL.
Hi, Governor. Thanks for taking my question. I wanted to clarify exactly which regional vaccination sites are or will be closed over the next, today or tomorrow, if you could clarify. And also just based on your comments just now, it sounds like although there is going to be a slowdown in vaccinations, you're not particularly concerned about sort of the long-term trajectory of vaccinations in Kentucky. Could you just expand on that, please?
We are not concerned about the long-term trajectory. It does delay some people a week, and that's a big deal to those people. I don't want to downplay that at all. We've been waiting for these vaccines for so long, and it's unfortunate that it's going to push it back a week. But when we look at the long-term trajectory, a week isn't going to slow us down in when we hit immunity because so much supply is expected later. We're hoping what we're getting right now is a trickle compared to what we will get late spring and moving into the summer. And that's really what's going to drive us from getting as many people as we can every week vaccinated, especially those at the most harm, to moving into immunity. But those that are significantly at risk that we're going to get their vaccine this week, be really careful if you were going to get it tomorrow. Now, the only Kroger Regional Center that was going to be open tomorrow is the new Frankfurt one. So that's being pushed a week. Everybody else, the other ones that have been open are Thursday, Friday, Saturday vaccination clinics. Now the hospitals that are helping us out in this effort, they run their own schedules, so people need to check with them. Obviously, the numbers that they can call are on our vaccine website, so make sure you check on your appointment. But remember, if you have booked an appointment, it may be moved, but you still have your spot. You still have your slot. You are not going to lose it, but make sure you know when it is. For all of the Kroger regional sites, it's been moved 1 week, but same time, same location. We need you to show up for that. And it's exciting about where we are, and we'll talk about it tonight in vaccinations. We're well over 500,000 Kentuckians that have received their first shot, and we are moving in the right direction. If you think about our first case, not quite being a year ago, and 1 year later, we'd have effective vaccines, 90+% effective, and we'd have 11-12% of our population already vaccinated. It would have been unbelievable at the time. But everybody on the weather today, stay safe. We think we lost 2 people, 2 Kentuckians to the weather last week. We are waiting to see if we've already lost 1 from what happened overnight. We don't want to lose anybody else. Again, we've been through too much. We've sacrificed too much. You have the ability to work virtually and stay off the roads more than ever before. So take care of one another. Check on your neighbors, especially if you lose power and you have seniors or those who are tougher to reach or might have extra needs. Be a good neighbor. I know you've done it for the last 11 months, and let's do it for this next week, and we will take care of each other. Thank you all very much.